Is success a journey or a destination? Everybody wants to be successful, but why is it that many people cannot reach the pinnacle of success? We were in Victoria and we talked to Mr. Mohan Jawl, who is a famous businessman and a philanthropist. What advice he has to give us, let's listen in this interview. A little bit about yourself. Since when have you come to Victoria, and what did you do when you landed over here?
Well, I was born in Victoria. I was the youngest of 6 children. All of us were born here. Our parents came out from India together in 1930. My father had been here prior to that. But he went back and came back with my mother. All of us were born in Victoria.
So your education is from here. What profession did you do some job, or you just jumped into this business of yours?
I was fortunate to be the youngest in our family, so I had the most opportunities and the fewest challenges, I guess, and the most support from my elder siblings. And I went to university along with my immediately older brother, Robert. We both started at the University of Victoria, went on to UBC. He went into finance and accounting, and I went into law. Subsequent to my time at UBC, I did some postgraduate work as well.
Over the years, how has Victoria changed, and especially when we talk about South Asians? What do you see over here?
Well, I think Victoria has changed dramatically. I think that on not necessarily a positive change in terms of the community. I think that we used to be a much closer community. We have now integrated more into the larger community, and there's less interaction amongst us, which I think is something I miss a little. And so that would be on the, well, for me at least, slightly negative side. On the positive side, I think the Indian community is firmly established. There's many Indian families and individuals who are doing extremely well. I think it's a much more secure community within the larger community of Victoria.
A little bit about your business now. What kind of business are you doing, and how are you trying to help the community also?
Well, initially we were involved, my father actually started out in the fuel business, selling wood and sawdust. And from there we moved on. We initially, the younger children got involved in that same business, but we moved on to the lumber business, building supplies. And then we moved on from that to real estate development. And we've been involved in real estate development now for, I would say, about 40 years. We built residential, industrial, and primarily now office buildings. Our involvement in the community, well, our family's been here now for, going back to my grandfather, 100 years. So we're very committed to the community. We do what we can to support various endeavors within the community.
The pinnacle of success which you have reached, what would you attribute it to? Just hard work or something else?
I would attribute it to the courage of my father in coming here. I think that was just something that I can't even imagine myself doing, uprooting yourself from one country and going to another. And I think that the other pinnacle, if I would refer to it that way, is my mother's steadfastness and support and the sacrifices they made to ensure that we had every benefit and opportunity they could provide us. They did more for us than we could ever do for ourselves.
Are you proud of your culture, and also are you trying to imbibe this culture, this value system into your family also?
Yes, I think that my children were fortunate to know my mother, and I think that experience really influenced them a lot. I think the values that I inherited from my parents, I've done everything I can to pass them on to my children. I see evidence that it is deeply rooted in them, and I'm very proud of that fact. As for our identification with India, We have investments in India. We have a huge interest in India. Children have been back to India. That connection is not one I'd like to give up.
Today, what we are finding, especially among the youngsters, everybody wants to be rich, but they are not willing to put in that much of sweat. What would be your message, especially to the youngsters?
Well, I think that the inspiration I draw is the sacrifice I saw in our parents. The sacrifices that they made would make it inspired us to make every effort to realize the opportunities that they provided. I don't see in my children any slackening of that resolve. I think they're just as ambitious and prepared to sacrifice and get ahead as we were. I'm fairly confident that they will, that these values have passed on to them and that they will live up to my expectations.
Financially, you have reached the pinnacle of success. Spiritually, how do you feel, how important is to have that balance of spirituality along with the financial success?
I think balance is really important, right? And whether you balance your career opportunities, your financial success with spiritual values, or whether you balance it against other values that you have, community values, family values, I think balance is absolutely essential. Someone who succeeds in one area and fails in every other is not a success in my opinion.
Towards the end, what would be your message to our community?
Our community, I would say, draw on the inspiration of those who came before and live up to their expectations. I think that would give most of us the guidance we need to succeed in whatever area we choose to pursue.
ਉਹ ਨਾਮ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਖੂਬਸੂਰਤੀ ਅਤੇ ਐਲੀਗੈਂਸ ਦਾ ਪ੍ਰਤੀਕ ਹੈ। ਅਸੀਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਆਏ ਹਾਂ ਉੱਚ ਕੁਆਲਿਟੀ ਦੇ ਸਟਾਈਲ, ਕਲਰ ਅਤੇ ਟੈਕਸਚਰ ਦਾ ਸੰਮੇਲ। ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰੇ ਕਿਸਮਾਂ ਦੇ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਵਿੱਚ ਬਣੇ ਹੋਏ ਸੋਫਾਜ਼, ਲਵ ਸੀਟਸ, ਬੈੱਡਸ, ਅਪਹੋਲਸਟਰ ਬੈੱਡਸ, ਚੇਅਰਸ, ਸ਼ੇਜ਼, ਸੈਕਸ਼ਨਲਸ ਅਤੇ ਐਕਸੈਸਰੀਜ਼, ਕਸਟਮ ਡਿਜ਼ਾਈਨ ਪੀਸਿਸ ਜਾਂ ਸਾਡੀ ਆਪਣੀ ਕਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਨਾਲ ਆਪਣੇ ਘਰ ਨੂੰ ਸਜਾਉਣ ਦਾ ਆਨੰਦ ਮਾਣੋ। Call 1866-842-6824.
फ्रूटी कहना ही जाना, बोले जमाना, ताजगी दा समा है, कनाडा दे विच ही अपना जहां है। हर सब्जी हर फल मिल जाए, पसंद दी हर चीज आ जाए, ताई ता सारे आने गाना। फ्रूटी कहना ही जाना, फ्रूटी कहना ही जाना।
ਵਿਦਿਆ ਵਿਚਾਰੀ ਤਾਂ ਪਰਉਪਕਾਰੀ ਦੇ ਮਹਾਵਾਕ ਅਨੁਸਾਰ ਸਤਨਾਮ ਐਜੂਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਸੁਸਾਇਟੀ ਆਫ BC ਚੰਗੇ ਸਿੱਖ ਬੱਚੇ ਬਣਾਉਣ ਲਈ ਤਤਪਰ ਹਨ। ਆਪਣੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਉੱਚ ਮਿਆਰ ਦੀ ਸਿੱਖਿਆ BC ਸਰਟੀਫਾਈਡ ਟੀਚਰਸ ਕੋਲੋਂ ਦਿਵਾਉਣ ਲਈ ਯਾਦ ਰੱਖੋ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਸਕੂਲਸ ਨੂੰ। ਵੈਨਕੂਵਰ ਤੇ ਸਰੀ ਵਿੱਚ 4 ਲੋਕੇਸ਼ਨਸ ਆਧੁਨਿਕ ਤਰੀਕਿਆਂ ਨਾਲ ਪੜ੍ਹਾਈ ਕਰਾਈ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਸਿੱਖੀ ਨਾਲ ਜੋੜਿਆ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ। BC ਕਰਿਕੂਲਮ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਖੇਡਾਂ, ਪੰਜਾਬੀ, ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ, ਕੀਰਤਨ, ਸੰਥਿਆ, ਗੱਤਕਾ, ਸਿੱਖ ਇਤਿਹਾਸ ਤੇ ਸੱਭਿਆਚਾਰ ਸਿਖਾਇਆ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ। ਕਾਲ 1866-933-2248।
ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਵਿਆਜ ਦਰ ਨੂੰ ਵਧਾਉਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਹੋ ਤਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਫਟਾਫਟ ਪਹੁੰਚੋ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਕ੍ਰੈਡਿਟ ਯੂਨੀਅਨ ਦੀ ਕਿਸੇ ਵੀ 5 ਬ੍ਰਾਂਚਸ ਵਿੱਚ। 1 ਸਾਲ ਦੇ ਨਾਨ ਰਿਡੀਮੇਬਲ ਟਰਮ ਡਿਪੋਜ਼ਿਟ ਤੇ ਪਾਓ 1.60%। 1 ਸਾਲ ਦੇ ਟਰਮ ਡਿਪੋਜ਼ਿਟ ਜਿਸ ਨੂੰ 90 ਦਿਨਾਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਕੈਸ਼ੇਬਲ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ ਪਾਓ 1.35%। ਹਜੇ ਹੋਰ ਬਹੁਤ ਕੁਝ। ਸਕ੍ਰੈਚ ਕਰੋ ਕਾਰਡ ਨੂੰ ਤੇ ਦਿੱਤੇ ਜਾ ਰਹੇ ਵਿਆਜ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ 0.25% ਤੋਂ ਲੈ ਕੇ 3% ਤੱਕ ਦਾ ਰੇਟ ਬੋਨਸ ਪਾਓ। ਰੁਕੋ ਜੇਕਰ 1 ਲੱਖ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਧ ਦੇ ਡਿਪੋਜ਼ਿਟ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋ ਤਾਂ ਐਡੀਸ਼ਨਲ ਬੋਨਸ ਪਾਓ। ਅੱਜ ਹੀ ਆਓ ਤੇ ਮਨੀ ਸਿੰਘ ਨਾਲ ਰਲ ਕੇ ਬੈਸਟ ਵਿਆਜ ਦਰ ਪਾਓ। ਛੇਤੀ ਕਰੋ, ਇਹ ਬੋਨਸ ਰੇਟਸ 31 ਜੁਲਾਈ 2012 ਤੱਕ ਹੀ ਹਨ।